Welcome to the first episode of Marvel Rivals, where I want to recommend to you 3 starter characters for the release of Marvel Rivals, and this time we're having a look at the Vanguards, aka the tanks. But before we do this, there is a general disclaimer here. First things first, all the characters I will mention were playable in the beta. Yes, I know they have added more characters to the game, but I was not able to play them, so that means I cannot give you a first-hand experience on how those characters will probably do in the hand of a beginner. Second, yes, I'm also aware that there have been a lot of changes, a lot of buffs, a lot of nerfs to the characters, but I choose the characters I'm showing in those videos solely on how will it work for new players, how can you make an impact with those characters, and how can you still support your team without having to put in hours and hours of knowledge when it comes to the character itself. The first Vanguard I want to recommend to you is Doctor Strange, because he is a very simple character to learn, and his main ability is to soak up a lot of damage. Thanks to his shield he can project in front of him, which is not only taking normal attacks, but can even block ultimates if you still have enough of shield left. One of the main features Doctor Strange needs a little bit of learning to is his ability to create a portal, because he doesn't have to be there to create the exit, or well, the other way of the portal. And that means you can even put a portal behind the enemy lines and then shoot the enemy in the back while your team is safe. Now, with that said, keep in mind that yes, the enemy can shoot back through the portal, and they can even go back through the portal. So those are a few things you have to learn when you are getting better with Doctor Strange and when you are starting to utilize the portal. But this is something you learn much later, and it's not too important right off the beginning to get this right. Another thing which I want to mention here very quickly, whenever Doctor Strange is using more and more of his abilities and his auto attack, he will create dark magic. When he's creating too much dark magic, he will not get healing anymore, and you have to release the dark magic with his E ability, and then you can get heal again. So keep an eye out on the dark magic. His ultimate, the Eye of Agamotto, is stunning every enemy around you for 3 seconds, which is a huge time for your team to do something out of it, and you will also do a little bit of damage. But as I said, Doctor Strange is a very easy character to get into. The second Vanguard I definitely want to recommend to you is Venom. Venom is very different than most of the Vanguard characters because he is not on the front line soaking up damage. He is actually swinging behind the other Vanguards to jump into the range and support characters of the enemies and just create a lot of chaos. And he can do that thanks to his ability to create bonus health, aka shields, and he does that through his E or Q ability. What is very important to note with the E ability, please only use it when you have already lost health, because you only get bonus health back based on the health you have already lost, so don't use that too early. His Q is also doing something with bonus health. You would transform into a puddle, swim to the enemy, and then do AoE damage to everyone who stands in the puddle, and you will get 100% of the damage transformed into bonus health. What is important to note here is that in the puddle, you are not invincible. You can still be shot, you can still be killed, so be careful about that. But Venom is just fun because he is really beefy, and whenever he gets too much into trouble, he can just swing out of the situation, go to his healers, get healed up, and then swing back into the action. And it is really hard to get rid of Venom. Even though he's not doing the most damage, he is just a nuisance the whole game, and the backline of the enemy team is just getting annoyed over time. The last, but certainly not least Vanguard I want to recommend is Magneto, and Magneto plays exactly like Zarya from Overwatch, and with a few more gimmicks here. And if you have never played that, let me explain very quickly. Your main ability is A, to have a shield in front of you. Keep in mind that shield is not as strong as Doctor Strange's shield is, and will be destroyed much faster. But you can also project shields on your allies and on yourself. And this is very important to note. They are two different abilities. They are your E and F ability, respectively, but they share the same cooldown. So you have to make sure you know who needs the shield more, your friendly ally or, well, yourself. And while you have the shield and enemies attack you, you will actually regenerate energy, which will get into your mag cannon. And the mag cannon is your most burst attack Magneto has, and you need those iron rings on the back of Magneto, and you get those iron rings by creating energy you are getting by enemies attacking you while your shields are up. That's what you want to do. You want to produce shields, enemies attack them, you get the energy, you can use your burst ability. Speaking of their burst ability, his ultimate, Meteor M, is also doing more damage when you have more energy regenerated. And what is that ultimate? Well, it's basically the spirit bomb from Dragon Ball. Like, seriously, you are floating into the air, you are sitting there for 4 seconds, or you can release it earlier, but then it will do much less damage. And then you will throw a huge meteor at the enemy team. Keep in mind, you will announce that, you will be pretty loud, a lot of people will be aware of it, and you have to prepare that a little bit and position yourself right. So that needs a little bit of a learning curve, but if you execute it right, it just feels fantastic. Also important to note, yes, the shield of Doctor Strange or even the shield of Magneto can block that meteor, so be careful with throwing it at tanks because they can just block that away. But Magneto is pretty fun because you have a lot of burst potential people do not expect from a tank, and then they're just getting eliminated in 2 or 3 shots and they're wondering what the hell just happened. But that's the fun with Magneto. And with that said, we're at the end of the video. I hope it was helpful. If it did, please don't forget to leave a like. If you still have some questions, let me know down below in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, you want to see more Marvel Rivals videos, please consider to subscribe. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.